Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to Travels Abound. As some of you may already know, I have an onboard air system from Viair. It is their complete kit and I absolutely love it. I also purchased a Grand General train horn. It is a triple horn train horn and it is amazing. I apologize for any loud noises in the background. But let's crawl underneath the truck and take a look and see what we got going on. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and switch up cameras so you can get a wider angle. But here is the power that goes directly to the switch. The kit comes with a pressure switch, and the pressure switch senses when the pressure gets too low. It kicks on the air compressor, and once the pressure gets to a certain point, it cuts it back off so it doesn't just keep running and, you know, explode your system and everything. And on the other side are my upfitter switches right here, and these are the wires, the power wires. One of them goes to the train horns, and one of them is the master for the pressure switch. So the pressure switch has constant power, and it also has a switched power so that you can turn it on and off. All right, let's crawl underneath. Those are the two switch wires that I just showed you from the upfitter switches. And I'm gonna take you all the way down to here. Which brings us to the train horns. Now the train horns, you'll have to excuse the zip tie mess, but the train horns I have on the passenger side in front of the dual tires. I popped out a rubber grommet that's in the wall of the truck bed and fed that down and then made that connection, and that goes back to the tank, and then it comes back and goes into the switch. It goes into the switch for the train horns. Okay, so now we are on the driver's side. This is the first red wire that I showed you that is tied into the battery, and it is the constant hot for the pressure switch. It is a fused wire, so that's a plus, but I've run it all the way down the frame. You can see it still goes, but I've run it all the way down the frame to here, and you can see this is where my spare tire goes. I still have my spare tire. There's nothing wrong with, some of these kits actually come with a spare tire replacement mount that you can use, and the whole kit, everything hooks onto the cable and goes up in the same area where your spare tire was, and all you have to do is run power to it. I did not want to do that because I like my spare tire. I don't want to be stuck on the side of the road. But I just kind of fabricated as much as I could without buying any extra metal, so you can see the band that I have up there that holds the pressure switch in place. Goes above, that goes above the spare tire. But there's my tank, and this is an automatic water separator. I highly recommend that. That way when the compressor kicks on and compresses humid air, the tank builds up moisture, and that moisture can get in to your lines and freeze your lines. It can rust and corrode, say the switch inside of the train horns. So it's good to get that air, or that air and water separated, and that does it right there. It collects the water, and then here in the bottom, when it collects so much water, it spits it out, kind of like on big trucks when you hear big trucks. So there's no water in there right now because it must have done it recently. But this is my setup, and that over there you can see the orange hose that goes to the train horns. So there's another one up there that you can't see that comes back from the compressor. So absolutely love this system. This is the second Viair system that I've had, and have had zero problems with it. It's a great setup. And as you saw in the beginning of the video, I have an air chuck hooked up here to the frame of the receiver hitch, and it is just through an existing hole. It worked out perfectly. It's nice and secure. That rattling is the collar, but it's nice and secure, and I did not have to drill any extra holes through the frame. I decided to mount the compressor here underneath my toolbox in the bed of the truck for a couple of reasons, but the main one being because I don't want to take up the room in my toolbox. So I hid it underneath my toolbox and have had zero problems with it. It works flawlessly, and I think we're on month 7, almost month 8 of having this system. Sorry, it's really hot outside. Okay, and here is a look also. The 4 bolt heads that you see right here, I went ahead, this is how I did it. I went ahead and just drilled and installed those through the truck bed. So that is the bottom, the air tank is actually up underneath where those 4 bolts are, and those 4 bolts are holding it in. Same up there, I don't know if you can see, but same up there underneath the air compressor, you can see there's 3 bolts up there, and that's where the train horn is mounted. This is just how I chose to do it. And I do have my air compressor mounted underneath my toolbox, but if you do not have a toolbox or choose not to mount it under there, there's plenty of room underneath the truck to mount it to the frame. Plenty of options for this kit to be mounted at least on a 2020 or like year model Ford F350, 250. Okay, I've pulled under an overpass because I'm not going to toot my horn, my train horn in the middle of my neighborhood. I'm just not that guy. Here's my regular horn. Kind of weak. Here's my train horn. I absolutely love it. It never gets old. So there you go. There's a quick video of our onboard air system. Again, I will link everything in the comments below to let you know everything that we used, from the extra wire to the onboard air kit from Viair to the train horns. But we love the Viair. We love having an onboard kit for a couple of reasons. We don't have to carry around an extra tank. I had a 5-gallon tank, I believe, that I carried around before this. It worked, but there was only so much air it could hold before it, you know, leveled out, equaled out, or completely leaked out. And with this onboard system, we have, I think the pressure switch goes from 115 psi to 150 psi. So you always have between 115 and 150 psi back and forth in between that to air up what you need to air up. Say camper tires that are 110 psi required, like our new camper is going to have, then that 115 to 150 will actually cover you. So you can air up those tires. Some pressure sensors and pressure switches and relays, they don't air up to that higher end. So you want to be careful to pick the right pressure switch for what your application is. So that wraps up this video, and we'll see you next week.